Oh my goodness. I can't believe I'm actually early tonight. Hey, it is Chanda Sparkles, and it is Cosmic Convo. This is a show that is just basically pure intuition. It's two multidimensional beings coming together for the purpose of sharing their hearts and their minds. We are in the season of Gemini just for a short while as we have the summer solstice. Winter solstice in the southern hemisphere coming on up. And I thought it would be a perfect time to bring Sandra McEllis on. Sandra McEllis, if you missed her first show, I've got that linked down in the description. You definitely want to check it out. But she's a very dear sister of mine. She is a Reiki master, a spiritual life coach. She has a past life regressionist, but maybe she's a regenerist. Maybe she's regenerating you and your frequency. And by the way, I have Saturn in Gemini, so therefore I get to make up words in this incarnation. Yeah, I do. She's a hypnotherapist beyond quantum healing. This is way beyond quantum, okay? A medical aesthetics technique specialist. Like, she is good. You'll see her skin is fabulous. And she's a YouTube content creator as well as on Facebook. You can find her on Instagram, all of the different social medias. The TikTok is out there and going, I do believe. So we definitely want you to come on in and think about, are you ready to merge and embody your soul? She's an embodiment coach. You can merge your physical self with the soul. She's going to teach us about how to do that. And how would it feel once you had merged with the divine blueprint? So stand by. I've got her backstage and we're going to bring her on open. But first, we got to hear from Frank. Welcome, Sandra. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. We are halfway through the year. We're about to have the summer solstice. How are you feeling today?
Well, I'm dragging a little bit today. Honestly, started yesterday. Some energies came in, creating some nausea, creating some just like, I need to stop, drop, sit, connect with my breath, become aware of my surroundings before I take my next step.
Well, and it's been one of those weeks for a lot of people. I lost my baby kitty.
Yes.
And, that was tough, but it was so beautiful. The experience since, yes, I'm grieving, but the experience, see, I'm finding that when we go through these really tough movements, that we are experiencing such a high level of vibrational heart energy that's coming in. So much with Venus being in Gemini, Mercury being in Gemini. This is, really pushing us to not only use the mind, but to also use the heart. And I felt like when this happened, that I was just, I was, what's the saying? I was broke wide open in order to birth wide open. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But I've heard from many that there's a lot of ascension type symptoms going on and stuff like that. So you were having a bit of nausea, vertigo. Sorry.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think right now we're going through so many changes energetically with, being 3D beings, trying to ascend to the 5D, whatever that's supposed to mean to us, but having to work the 3D, live in the 3D, and have conversations with the 3D, but we're doing it with a different dimensional approach. And we feel like nobody's really understanding and hearing us. On top of that, we've got people working with fears and things that are coming up to merge and purge. We've got losses and fear of losses and hanging on. I have to commend you with what was going on with Kitty, the way you approached it was this was a beautiful end of his physical flesh and bones, but that his spirit has already taught you so much and will continue to teach you from
Mm-hmm.
another realm. So
Mm-hmm.
that really helped you elevate to a different speaker system, is what I'm hearing.
Ah, speaker system. If y'all didn't know, Sandra has Saturn in the first house, so she also gets a pass, and she's a Virgo, and so she gets a pass to be able to create words, and she is a wordsmith. I've always thought she's a wordsmith. But it's this thing that's going on right now currently, and I wrote a few notes just so I wouldn't forget. Venus is rearranging everything around love, relationships, valuables, where you feel you belong, where you magnetically attract, and whom and what you magnetically attract, as Mercury, because these two are just kind of cruising along at the same time together. And Mercury is our mind and how we think and communicate and what we write. It's the media, it's everything we hear. When they're traveling together, and there's going to be this really big square over to Neptune that's starting to become active, people are becoming disillusioned. And whenever your heart is expanded, so like, I'll give you an example, like I often do. I had a situation here, 5 weeks ago, the cat was getting pretty sick pretty quick, and it's time to go to a vet. Well, then we go to the vet, but that one wasn't so great. So we went to another vet. Yada, yada, yada. The whole story of the Matrix that's going on in consideration with this is like my little soulmate. He basically replaced my husband right after my husband died. And I believe he to be a ascended master, because he's completely deaf, but yet I can telepathically talk to him and he listens. Never gets on furniture, never gets on the cabinets. And I didn't have to do any kind of punishment or anything. It's just, I kind of just told him, hey, these are your spaces. And he respected that. And I respected his space. And it was real sad. But then there's all these like signs and messages coming from him, says, you will be speaking to more. He told me that 2 weeks before. And then he says, it is time for me to go, a week before. And I was like in denial. I was in denial and say that's the big energy that's going on, when you're really thick up in it. It could be a pet, it could be a workplace, it could be a job, it could be a goal that you're going for, something you've been thinking, you just know that this is the path. And then you realize it's not the path, and everything comes tumbling and crumbling. You have the choice to understand that time and patience and observation is how you get through those moments. And so I made that choice very early on to really follow my guidance, not to listen to my friends, not to listen to any counselors, not that I discredit them, but I made that choice that this is mine and baby's path. And I'm going to do what's best and right for this cat. I got some flack for putting my cat to sleep, even though I put him to sleep at home here at our sacred space. It was a beautiful, amazing, and he was surrounded by love, and he had visitors of love before he went. But I got flack over it, and it triggered me. It triggered the shit out of me, because I thought, well, who are you to tell me what I'm to do with my partner? Right? So what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of people that are just revved up and they're ready to go at you. And even in the most sensitive of times, like I literally don't care if I was like someone that did not like you. I would never come at you in that way, in such a sad moment, that's perceived to be sad by most. And yeah, I was sad. I cried. It was hard to walk down to the canal the next day. But then there was a baby bird eggshell sitting on the center of my hammock. Literally. Like never before had this. I saved the eggshell. I put it in a bowl of stones and crystals, There's signs. We are constantly giving ourselves that feedback, those signs, as we are traversing all of the energies, whether it be a death of anything, because a lot of
Yes.
things are coming to end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. And it's really pushing the uncomfortable plug. And if you're not willing to
Mm,
pull it, it's going to get pulled for you, or it's going to come loose and you're going to start sensing it and you're going to wish you pulled it. Um, because
yeah.
we're creatures of habit. And sometimes we feel like we get ahead better if we suffer. And that's old
Mm,
paradigm.
mm-hmm.
That's old paradigm.
It is.
We don't have to suffer in the way that we've been entrained to suffer. And
Yeah.
I commend you for saying no more pain, kitty kitty, no
Mm-hmm.
more pain. We're going to do this together on our terms while you
Mm-hmm.
can still hear me and still understand. And that's the humane of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do enough of that. We
Mm-hmm.
wait till things become so acutely critical
Mm-hmm.
that choices can't be made in a sane way.
Ooh, goodness. That makes sense. You know, I feel like if anybody had to put an animal down, or, even up in Canada, in Canada, they're putting people down.
I did not
Yeah.
know
Yes. Yes. They're like, there's a whole thing. We won't go deep into it, but I'll send you some links. But there's a thing where they are, basically saying if you're too depressed and you have too much anxiety and you're suicidal, or you're a drug addict and you just can't deal with life anymore, it's a loving thing. Come in and let us help you in that. Yeah, it's a
that.
real thing. It's a real thing. Yeah. So anyway, but what I'm trying to get at is
Mm.
that the resistance that we are into, no matter what the situation is, has
Right.
been so pliable recently, I've noticed. And I've noticed it in others. I've noticed it in the world. I mean, heck, we've got Russian ships down off the coast of Florida. We've got there. I heard of some outside of Cuba. Closer than they've ever been. There's a lot of this war matrix that's being really stirred up right now, simply because we have Mars, that has been in Aries this whole time, and it just recently entered into Taurus, which is going to stabilize some of this stuff. It's like, okay, all of the action was taken and all the stuff was happened and all of the da 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 da, and now we're here, and now it's methodical steps forward, strategic steps forward. It's a lot. There's a lot going on, shakeups. Neptune being at 29 degrees. That's a big deal. That's never been before in our lifetimes. And that is the last energetic degree of the entire zodiac. It's on the world point. And when you start talking about world points, not only that, we have got Capricorn full moon going to be at 1 degrees on the world point. Then we've got another Capricorn full moon happening in July. So 2 back to back in Capricorn, bookending the sign, basically. And that's world powers, world governments, big business, big corporations, world leaders taking a fall, falling away. There's so much going on. I mean, I could go on for days and days, but I'll let you talk.
Well, I don't watch the news because it has such a horrible effect on me.
I
I
don't watch
don't.
the news either. I haven't had it for 10 years, but I get I
I
get I get this stuff sent to me,
well,
like
I've
messages.
done. Yes, I hear you. I've done less toddling in the last couple weeks. I feel like that is just my toddling finger has just it's just gone and taken a pause, taken a rest.
Oh,
It
good for
just
you.
doesn't it just doesn't really want to take in any more information outside of direct information.
Mm,
I'm not listening to a lot of things. I'm not seeing a lot of little news bulletins that come across Facebook or Instagram
mm.
or any other social media. Um, so I learned so much from you when it comes about to the planets that I could just sit here like keep talking. Shh, everybody.
No, no,
She has
no.
so much to
You're the
say.
guest here. You're the guest. You're the guest. You're the guest. No,
Wow.
there's just so very much. I mean, good God. I mean, where do you start? Where do you start? I mean, just for this right now, this weekend, the South Node and the moon are going to come together. I mean, currently right now, the moon is in Virgo. So I found that very fitting that you're here. No, my bad. It just moved into Libra a little while ago. Now it's in my South Node. But
Perfect.
it's about release, letting go, because there you really want to also, this is an energy because we're talking about this big square to Neptune that's happening next week that we're already starting to feel right now. And we just came out of a Mercury Kazemi today. So Mercury's being reborn, the evening star, as well as Venus being reborn. She just had her Kazemi last week. And they won't be visible in the sky as the evening star until mid-July around. It varies. It depends on where you're at in the world. But really, it's about this breakout to breakthrough type of energy. Depression can set in. Check on your friends. Suicides could come forward with these kind of energies through the weekend. This is an emotional freak out kind of weekend. So everybody needs to be really understanding of themselves, be really patient and not get stuck in a loop. That's the other thing is careful not to don't overdo things because Jupiter is in Gemini, the youthful planet of the duality, of the dance of the shadow and the light, the communicator, you know, um, and Jupiter's expanding upon all that. And I would not believe a damn thing that you hear on the news, unless you really get it from a trusted source, I mean, so in other words, the dark controllers that be are cranking it up some more because they know they're falling away. Because we have this big transit of Pluto re-entering Capricorn in September. And that is going to be the last time that he will be on top of the Pluto return degree. Not exact this time, but the last time he steps in and then he's gone forever into Aquarius. And so from September to November, mid September to like the second week of November, we'll be looking at a lot of that old world feeling coming back. But I've been telling people, don't despair into that. If the old stuff starts coming back, it's there for a reason. Observe it. If you need to do something about it, do it. But realize that we are winning. We are on the long stretch here, right? Like we're getting there much much further than we were, say, in like 2019, 2020. So,
Mm-hmm.
and with personal stuff, it's going to really depend on each person's unique individual soul blueprint chart. But on a world level, these are world matters. These are world matters. This is why I have to bring the world point forward, which is, like the first and second degree of air of all the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. And we're entering into a solstice, which is Cancer season, the crab. And I really feel like we need to really pay attention. Are we feeding the old paradigm? Like, are we feeding on that? Or are we ingesting the new? Like there's a difference between I'm feeding myself my face or I'm ingesting. There's a
Mm-hmm.
total different frequency energy to that. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's one thing to, stuff your face when you're hungry. It's another to place food in your mouth for nutrition. So they have two different kind of, weights on them. And I want to make a point. You're talking about the dark controllers. They're puffing up like blowfish. They're trying
Mm-hmm.
to give the illusion that they're bigger
Mm-hmm.
and have more supply than than they actually do. They're going to deflate as we ride the wave. It'll deflate. And going back into that old programming, if you touch down on that, just acknowledge it and say, I don't think so. Not working for me. I'm gonna move over here and see
Mm-hmm.
how that feels for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what have you seen specifically? Like, let's just say in your workspace, like what has
Hmm.
been the thing that stood out to you? I mean, like we're talking about a chunk of time here. You know, you and I haven't spoke like this since the first of the year. So here we are at
Hmm.
the midpoint
Yeah.
between the first of the year and now. What has been your observation in your own personal life? You know, if you're not viewing the worlds per se.
Well, I know that I'm walking in and out of time warps, and some of them are very uncomfortable. So at work, I feel like there's just a lot of chaos, and
Mm,
it's mostly in the communication. One person just doesn't know what the other person is doing, and then it just has this quadrupling effect. And I'm standing
mm,
around and I'm observing it, and I can feel it echoing through my body, and I'm trying my best not to respond in a way that isn't becoming of me, but I'm also trying to respond in a way that I'm observing as a witness. And yet I have found myself so much at the end of the day going, F this chaos. I got to drive home. I can't do this. And
yeah.
yet I go back in the next day and it's the same roller coaster of, you know, shit throwing garbage of, just regurgitating on the same thing, but it may involve a whole different set of people, within that. So I'm finding that that is spilling out into home life. It's spilling out into a lot of things that I'm literally talking and I'm like, what world am I in right now that I'm not getting across what I think I'm getting across, but I sure as hell am not getting back what I think I even begin to understand because they're in such density.
Oh,
One's in density
yes.
and one's in more lightness.
Yes. Yes. So it's like when your vibrational frequency is high. Let's just say it's mid high. Let's not even go high high. Let's just go mid high. And you come up inside someone who, let's just say, is normal, like to low. You know, let's just say like right there. Maybe they're not like super low, depressed, totally in fear or whatever, but they're a little rattled, they perceive things in such a different reality and in a different way than what we perceive that whole exact same situation. I've had two people, specifically close people in my life, just I just went, what just happened here? Like
Hmm.
what just happened here? I'm seeing this situation as a win-win. This person's seeing this situation as this, and that. And so there's a lot of misconceptions, I believe, happening. And this is all the mental mind, Mercury, ruler of Gemini. And I think, as he's been trekking on his way through the underworld, our minds are getting clouded, burnt away, fogged. And now we have this new pristine Mercury that's moving forward, but he just got burned to the core today. And then he's got a trek on his way, and he's going to be out of bounds. Who's going to be out of bounds? Who? Mercury? Yes, Mercury and Venus going out of bounds. And when planets go out of bounds, they're going to be out of bounds at Sunday through next week, so for a while. And when they go out of bounds, their more positive vibration kind of takes the time off. It says,
Hmm.
nah, we're just gonna just chill out back here and let y'all deal with all that harsh shit. And so it's kind of like, whoa. And then we have like these heart hurts that are coming because it's all sensitive with Neptune
Hmm.
at play this week. But then, as we move through this progression of the weekend, and then we start heading into next week, we start talking about Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio, and Scorpio is opposing Uranus and Jupiter. And so, well, no, I'm sorry, not Jupiter anymore, because Jupiter, it's Mars and Uranus now. And in those oppositions, you're asked to look within at, how are you building? Are you feeling as though you even belong where you're building from? because it's coming to a precipice next week on the solstice. I believe that we'll have some more information, knowledge, insight, and understanding if we haven't already. But I feel like we're going to be just kind of like in this la la land up until the solstice, because there's so much Neptunian energy. And then it's literally like you have the solstice on Thursday, and then on Friday, there's the Capricorn full moon at 1 degrees. And, that's going to be in a square on over to Saturn. I'm sorry, excuse me. That's going to be, it's going to be squaring Saturn. And then the sun is going to be in square to Neptune. So, this Neptunian thing, man, water events, man, we've got some water events. We here in where I'm located have got tropical storm warming watches going on, which probably has turned into warnings, just because we got 2 little systems, possibly 3, firing off in the Gulf down here. So you never just know what those things could turn into something big pretty quick. That's the other thing I wanted to bring forward to you. The waters. Remember, we spoke about the waters. So the Marines, the marine life, have been getting lots of messages about the waters. Underground civilizations, underground happenings, things happening in the underground of the waters, pyramids in the waters. So, and I work quite a bit, and I have seen like the marine life not so happy, or maybe in despair. There's quite a bit of things going on in the marine life. Sharks all up and down. We had like 3 shark attacks in Florida, as well as there were 2 or 3 just noticed here. They weren't attacks, but they were like close calls. And then we also had, and the waters are incredibly warm for this year. They were warm early. I noticed in February, I put my feet in the water and I went, whoa, because normally it's still cold water here. I was like, this is like bath water. This should be like June. So it's like going almost too hot. It's so hot. The temperatures are hot. The waters are hot. The Marines aren't happy. They have these TikTok videos where you have all of these whales coming together all into the ocean, and then these bizarro, weird, brand new, very rare sightings of these rare jellyfish octopus looking things that just came out. So there's all of this stuff that's being put out, and there's all this information that's being put out there. But I was getting stuff on the water. I don't know, was it a few weeks, 4 weeks back? And then at the beginning of the year, I was like, yeah, watch the waters. But now I'm like thinking it was something, totally different than what I had maybe had the vision of at that time. Have you been having anything on the waters?
A lot of the Sky Show that I've been watching, they're doing a lot of energy work, and it has been turning very watercolory. So it literally, like, the screen will change, the water within my eyes will change, and I'm seeing the movement of the beings very like watercolory. And then, of course, my own water system has been 1 minute very sensitive. 1 minute I feel like I'm going to blow a gasket. Another minute I feel like, what is happening here? I just need to bow out for a little bit. I don't want to talk. I don't want to express. I feel very confused. And, I wanted to ask you a question. So if all this is happening, when do you think we're going to be able to, we've got what do I want to call it? The perception scrambler is on high volume right now. When do you think we might see that turn down a little bit? Or are we going to build up through next week and continue to build? Or are we going to see a little bit of a decline where we have a little bit of relief on our valves?
No, no. I don't see that happening until Neptune gets out of Pisces and moves into Aries, which will happen next year in March, literally at the exact same time that Saturn enters. Not too far out of the equinox there. So, but this Neptune at 29 degrees is a real big deal. And that's what's making our perceptions so scrambled. And that's what's handling this water. Neptune rules Pisces. Okay. 29 degrees of any sign is the combination of all the degrees, the 30 degrees in one sign. So you take all that and you put it in a one, you call that the anaretic degree. It's the crisis degree, okay? And so, and when you have all these planets over here in Gemini that are traveling through Gemini, every time any planet comes up to the 27, 28, 29 degree point, it's going to hit that trine. So the square. You know, if it comes up into Cancer, everything that's about to move into Cancer, then we'll catch the trine, which trine is a little bit easier flowing. It just kind of comes in, but it doesn't mean it's simple, because that energy is still coming into a 29 degree anaretic crisis point degree. Massive illusion, massive fantasy. But it could also be fantastic creativity, killer music being birthed, psychic awareness on steroids, leaving the body effortlessly, effortlessly. So there's always the ups and downs, the high or low, and we're in Gemini, so that's what we're talking about. A lot of duality going on. But as far as perceptions being skewed, I mean, I would say that's going to stick around till next year. That's just going to be a layer that we have to understand how to resolve and be within our our observer. I don't feel like we will feel as much aggression with that perception, being skewed, now that we have Mars just entered into Taurus. Mars is our aggression, our will, our ego, our faith, our drive, our faith in our heart, and how can we get this done, right? It's also war and just can get in your face, right? But now that it's in Taurus, it's going to calm itself down, because it was in such power at home in Aries in its home sign all of this past time. So now it's going to kind of you'll start seeing a little bit of less aggression, but perception skewing, yeah, that'll be till next year.
Well, it's like, there's times where I get up in the morning and I feel so happy to start my day. I'm going to conquer whatever didn't work yesterday. And I swear my daily instructions will come through the shredder. And then I'm supposed to read it as if I understand it. And that's how I'll feel at the end of the day. Like everything I thought I was going to do went through the shredder. And yet I'm supposed to understand it and complete all the tasks on it. So again, I'm left to my other sensories.
Uranus too has a lot of skin in that game, okay? Because Uranus is also in Taurus, has been for the past 5.5 years, and almost 6 years now. So Uranus is going to shake, rattle, and roll us with everything we think to be true. This is why I said at the beginning of the year, you cannot do it the way you've always done it and then some. Like you have to realize that nothing that if you think you've got it planned and this is how this is going to go, you're wrong. Because and there's no astrologer, channeler, anyone out there that can straight up say, this is what's going to happen when this happens, blah, blah, blah. And if they do, stop watching them, because they're full of it. Because this is the Uranus year. Venus is a strong player this year too. But Uranian energy is, and it's all about the earth, because it's in the Taurus sign of Earth, the ruler of Earth, in my opinion. It's all about our agriculture, our food, our senses are being shook. Our incomplete nervous system is being shook for a good while. And so it just now, let me double check, because I don't want to be wrong on this. I want to make sure I'm right. Yep. It just now started to come into this last decan, because there's 3 decans, like 3 pieces of the pie per sign. And the last decan is when you start dealing with the world. And so lots of world changes and shifts for the better. But you have to remember that nothing's going to be as you had thought it would be. and you can plan your day as best you can day to day. And I encourage people to still do, but don't be attached to the outcome. Because 9 times, I never in my wildest dream thought that I would be putting my cat down at home. What? I didn't even know that information. I didn't even know that information until the day before, that I had the option of having someone come to my house and do this. What a fucking blessing that was. What a blessing to be able to, because I'm so sacred within this space. And he's a big part of that. You know, baby works with my clients, and he's still around. He's showing me signs. He was tapping his nails on the tile literally the next morning. Like hearing, I could hear him tap, because he'd make this tap noise with his nails when he was drinking from his water fountain. And I'd be off in the bathroom or whatever, you know, putting my makeup on. And all of a sudden, tap. Oh, baby's drinking his water. And I heard it, plain as day. And I was like, okay. So I got really okay with baby transitioning quick. You will be shown quickly how to maneuver your day when you get out of your way. Ooh, that's a Sandra's. That's just like high five. High five.
I'm like, yes, girl. That sounded like me.
I know.
Yeah.
You see how I can do that?
Yes, that was excellent. Excellent. I'm impressed.
Hilarious.
You know, the other thing too is I just keep getting to root and to pay attention to the physical body and to just, this mechanical vehicle needs attention, and it needs to be oiled and greased and loved and hydrated from every which direction. It has been dehydrated and energetically sucked for way too long. So most people don't know if they're coming or they're going. So we've got to take more time to get into this physical vehicle and learn how to mechanically operate it before we try to take flight.
Yeah.
And that means working out of body. That means, because so many people right now are not in their bodies. They're operating from another perception, which is why communication is insane. I don't mean the out of body, the intentional, perception of working with energy. I don't mean that.
You mean the mundane.
Those who are just, they're beyond zombied. They're not even in their zombie body. They're outside of their zombie body. Yeah. And if you want to see that sleepwalker, that's what's going crazy out there everywhere right now. And you've got to learn to take your vehicle and get this apparatus in order so that you can maneuver that obstacle course to the best of your ability and to avoid collisions. And collisions could be fiery temper. It could be retreating into all the victimism. Why is this happening to me? It can come out in so many different ways, but we're so busy listening to so many things that are coming across about how you're supposed to feel for an ascension, and how you're supposed to be doing this, and that. And you're not taking the time to read your owner's manual and realize that you've got to create an owner's manual and operate this vehicle from the cellular in order to walk with the cellular. We've talked about this before.
Yes, we have. Yeah. The cellular to the solar. Somebody put it in the comments. That's good stuff right there. Yeah. Being able to, be like, I consider myself to be like, I'm shining my flashlight on all of the dark spaces. But I'm not going to jump in there to that dark space, but I'm going to shine my light on it and I'm going to have a look at it. Or on others, those that we're assisting, whether it be astrology or sound healing for me, with, your self-embodiment, coaching and past life regression sessions. Tell us a little bit more. So give us an example tip on what you think that our viewers could do when they're wrapped up in that.
Well, we've got a calamity of things that are happening here energetically, and most people are feeling like their nervous system is being hit with a taser gun. And even if you think you've got control of it, you don't, because there's so much more going on. It's like trying to control the wind. We know it's there. We don't
Yep.
see it. It
Yep.
sneaks up on us. Our hair blows. It, whatever
Yeah.
happens, dust bunnies go flying across the room. All
Yes.
kinds of things are occurring. We can't harness that, but we can harness the physical that maneuvers through the dust bunnies and through all the other things. So I strongly suggest what I've been doing lately is I've had to stop and just step back and close my mouth and just allow myself to breathe back into my body, to slow my walk through the hallways of my office, to not
Mm.
engage in conversation except for maybe a superficial hello, how are you? Because
Mm-hmm.
I can't even take anyone dumping anything else on me either. And I don't want to accidentally overload and dump too much on their system. So
Mm-hmm.
just stopping, just knowing that there's so many things bigger and greater than you. But
Mm-hmm.
unless you get your owner's manual out and start playing around with what works when you turn to the left and turn to the right, and which one feels more like it assimilates with how you feel in a way that brings more joy and happiness. You got to work on those dials. You got to
Yeah.
work on those dials
Yeah.
because we're flying all over the place in survival.
Mm-hmm.
And and yes, of course, we're getting inundated by things that don't belong in our systems. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that we're putting back in our system because we're not taking the time to look at a label or look at something and say, I don't want to digest that. And I
Or
don't want
sim
that thrown at me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or simply just being consciously aware that, okay, this is going to throw my system off. I mean, just even having the awareness, having total awareness that, okay, like for me, I've always been one to say, okay, if I want the cake, I'm going to eat the cake. That's just me. That's just me. I'm just saying. And if I want the fucking cake, I'm going to eat the cake. But I'm going to clear the cake. I'm going to bless the
Yeah.
cake. I'm going to say everything that is toxic in this cake that is supposedly not supposed to be good for me, may that joy of that chocolate in my mouth override.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to
Mhm.
overdo. It's not like I'm going to go buy a massive cake and eat the whole thing for 2 months by myself. It'll go bad by then. But a few slices of those little bitty cakes is okay.
It truly is. And I love
Give
that
yourself
point.
what you want.
Yeah.
Nurturement. See, that's cancers coming up. Nurture yourself where everyone is. So now we're moving out of the mind, and that's going to start settling down as soon as solstice hits, okay? And now we're pulling in on the heart. But see, Mercury and Cancer are literally leading the way on this whole solstice thing. They will enter the day before. So it's like they enter, no, I'm sorry, they enter on Monday. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They enter on Monday of next week. So we don't got much. This is going to be a cray cray weekend. We're going to hear about it. We're going to see it. People are going to be it. It's going to be cray. People are going to be really skewed. And then all of a sudden there's going to be this heart explosion, and then there's mind explosion, and everybody's going to be a little sensitive and a little, because it's a water sign, but it's a cardinal water sign, you know. And so we'll be feeling, and where we belong. Like I feel like there's this big, huge energy around this Cancer season of, where do I belong? Where am I landing? How am
Mhm.
I landing and receiving other people's landings? And do I belong to continue in this situation? Or should I
Mhm.
head on out the door? You know? Yeah.
Well, I think
Mm.
from 2020 to 2022, we had an opportunity to make a lot of change
Mm-hmm.
and be in the changes that were occurring and saying, I need to make some personal changes. I need to end some relationships. I need to rework some things that are better suited. For those that didn't complete all of that, that's
Mm-hmm.
where I feel we are now. We're
Yeah.
at a place now where it's giving you a final nudge. What
Yep.
in your life needs to be tweaked and changed so that you can hone in on your own God spark self?
And not to say that you can't make changes later in, but this is more about an energetic change. It's
Mm-hmm.
about your chi, your life force, and how are you managing yourself within your physicality, within the flesh suit. Because let's also face it, Cancer is ruled by the moon. That's our emotions, you know, that's our intuition, it's our inner guidance system. and it flux and goes just like the sea, just how the moon helps with the tides and stuff like that. Same thing with us. We're 90% water, so that's how we become affected. And I feel like it'd be really like beneficial for people to get, like you said, get in touch with their inner knowingness now of where they belong, even if it means that they're not moving physically or not leaving a job physically. I think a lot of people have already done that. Not to say that there won't be another wave of that, because there will be coming next year. But get where you want to be energetically so that you'll be ready for those bigger moves and those bigger transfers and massive metamorphoses that'll be coming next year.
Yeah, while you're saying that, I'm getting the picture of like getting on a swing. And usually, if you're running towards a swing and you want to get on a swing, you want to speed up and go as high as you possibly can.
Uh-huh.
And I was seeing getting on a swing and just doing that lull move, a little bit forward, a little bit back, and just being in that swing of the swing in a lulling way.
Yeah.
And then before figuring out where your fulcrum is, where your balance is, where you are in placement on that swing in the scheme of life before you take off upward too high or backward too high, and so on. So I was seeing lulling the swing.
I have something to say on this one, but I do want to add we are broadcasting to Facebook and YouTube. So if you are watching us and you have a question for Sandra or for myself, you can go ahead and put it there in the comments. We've only got about 15 minutes left of the little live broadcast here. So I thought I wanted just to let you guys know that we appreciate you being here. We hope that you're getting something from these conversations. We definitely do. So selfishly, I'm always happy to be with Sandra because I always learn so much. So tell us a little
Mhm.
bit about more what you've got going to expand your business for the rest of the year.
Well, I found myself getting thrown back into the 3D world of working, and I realized that I really thrive when I am doing more one-on-one or small group sessions. So
Mm-hmm.
I decided, you know what? I'm going to rework my schedule so that I have a few more days to spend with growing the embodiment of the soul. So I'm here to help people to really just sit back and get into their physical vehicle instead of being out there with the world of this is what I got to do at this age, and this is what I got to do for this week, and this is what I got to do when I get here, and this is how I'm supposed to be, and this is where my approval ratings are, and this is how I please this. And then you find yourself in this syndrome where you're not growing in a way that your body's yearning to. And your
Mm-hmm.
body's really yearning for spiritual growth. It's yearning to get into that emotional body and take a dip, wade your toe, to swim a little bit, to let some of those feelings come up, to find your filters. And so I feel like between now and the end of the year, I'm going to get back more into being more available to clients.
Nice. Maybe we can do a group session. That would be
Yes.
fun. We could do that. I see something sparking there.
Love it.
Also, I've been feeling so I have to tell this little bit because this is also Neptune at 29 degrees, right? So for many years, and Neptune's been traveling, it takes him 144 years to go around the zodiac. So it takes a good while for him to go through a sign. He's been traveling through Pisces. And, Neptune is boundless water, boundless consciousness, boundless. There are no bounds, period. Saturn came in, and Saturn is boundaries, is bounds, is structure, is discipline, is work, is father time. And so here in my home, I've had this condensation issue. Most people, if you follow me, I've had this condensation issue. I live on an island. It's really, really, really humid here. But the way the house was built, there was all of this just investigation over this past 4 years. Literally, the day after baby Kitty died, the AC guys showed up and they installed a inline massive piece of equipment up in my attic, dehumidifier. Inline, massive system. just as expensive as an AC system. And it's cured. And I sat there
Wow.
and yeah, it's done. There is no more humidity. It's over. No sweat. All good. Wonderful. $5,500 check-in done. Should have done it 3 years ago. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm like, so I'm tuning into the space because this home has always been my forever sacred space. Like, I love this space. I work on it daily. And I've been asking her all this time, why are you upset? What is going on? No. Be all upset. Why is this? Why is this? Why is this? And finally, when baby left, I was just so filled with love. I don't know, man. I haven't felt that kind of love since I held like my grandchildren in my arms for the first time when they were brand new newborns. But right after he left, I felt so much love. Just this love that could not stop. This love that was just permeating all around. And it carried on to the next day. And then a surprise would happen. And then this would happen. And I've got all kinds of stories to tell around this. But the main one is they showed up. The AC guys, right? Which I know them well. It's a husband and wife team. They're both Scorpios. I'm Scorpio. We all get along great. And it's all fixed. And the house told me, I was weeping because you have been weeping. And baby was here because you were still learning. I couldn't believe it. And then now there's such a stillness and a sweetness here. And yes, I miss baby, but I don't because I know he's here. He's showing me multiple ways all the time, twice today already. So it's totally, and he's also told me I'm going to do animal communication. And I don't know what that looks like. And I'm not going to attract or attach or even give it a thought, quite honestly. I just know it's happening and it will, however it is. And I think the lesson here learned is that the second that you've gotten yourself to a place, things will fall away as one last test. And then when you step into that with love and compassion, understanding and grace, you really can traverse these energies much easier and make it kind of like, and I know this sounds bonkers to most pet owners, but I'm in complete celebration and joy at this point because I know that there's new beginnings starting just around the corner. So, it's beautiful. And I just wanted to share that because the house was weeping so bad that it cost me $30,000 over the past 4 years. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I spent doing all this.
Translate that into tissues.
Exactly. Try to have a smile on your face about that. You know what? I'm grateful for it all. And I'm not just fucking saying that. I am grateful for all of it because man, oh man, am I lit now. Am I seeing things in a whole different way? It's just constant loss. It's just been happening forever and ever and ever and ever. But you know what? It's still going to happen. So you might as well enjoy your day. And none of that shit really matters anyway when you really look at it from a broader perspective. It really doesn't. Okay. Sorry, I had to just tell you about that.
No, I'm glad you did.
I wanted to hear what you had to say, if you had anything on that.
No, I just think that, it goes to the theme I was talking about with loss or the fear of loss or the possibility of loss and trying to hold on to things. But instead of holding on to them, you're actually gracefully trying to disassemble them and figure out, how do I rebuild that? What do I do with this? How do I make this better? How does this help me get through another hurdle of something? So you're dissecting it and you're finding the root causes, and it takes a little bit of time, and it's your experience and your lesson, and they're all very beautiful, between Kitty, between the house, between telling other people to go take a flying hike off of a roof. You no longer want to be friends or relationship with these people. and jumping into your astrology full time and doing all the healing work that you do. It's amazing. And I just applaud you, sister.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. And I think you're amazing. And you know that I think you're amazing. And I don't see anybody else with a question. We'll keep on going here for a few more minutes. So if you have a question for us, put it in the comments now. You only have a few more minutes, but yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like we are on a precipice of a lot of great moves in our consciousness, like literally. And I feel like it's really important that we all realize it's not just about the light, that it's more actually about the trauma and the sadness and the crap that we have to like literally experience. What we are experiencing as humans, in this part of this incarnation as a fractal of self, understanding and knowing that this is just a fractal of who I really am on a higher ascended being, master, or whatever you want to say, an alien, off planet entities, whatever you want to say. Whatever's right for each person. What's right for you is not going to be right for me. I can sit here and guide you and I can shine the light on some things, but ultimately, other people will have to do what they need to do. And I can't tell you what to do. Right. Ugh.
Yeah, and
And
I think it's
I'm
really
channeling a lot, so my nose is running a lot.
I know that's your thing.
That's my
Um,
thing.
it's really important while we're going through a lot of these, what we want to call turbulent times, that's shaking things up for you. You don't always have to necessarily know certain things, but if you take the time to rest more and to get some hydrating foods in you, pick and choose maybe some different activities that bring you into more of a loving, self-centered space. So you're indulging in that side of it. And that could just be sitting down and reading a book. That could be, watching children play on a playground. That could be sitting on your deck and watching the sky show. There's so many different things that we can do, but our physical bodies are asking us to pay attention and watch the clues and to start listening and tuning in with the basic sensories before you allow the other sensories to get more heightened. So you don't want to fly out of the nest too quickly. And that's why people like me and like Shanda are here to help you work through these things so that we can help you move with more grace and ease, agility and flexibility, and still learn your lessons and feel good instead of wanting to jump off the nearest bridge. And I say that with a pun intended, because it's just an expression of, there's times even with myself right now that I find myself getting off course like really quick. And I'm like, whoa, if that can
Yeah.
happen to me, what is happening to those who have no clue what is really going on? So I'm seeing,
Okay.
yeah,
You all right?
yeah, I'm seeing yo-yo in personalities. I'm seeing yo-yo in mood swings. I'm just seeing a lot of those things. So
I,
get a hold of that
I,
vehicle, my friends.
yes. We have a question. We have a question from Sandy Reyes. She is a Leo sun sign, Sagittarius moon sign, Gemini moon sign. The question is, tactics to maintain a Zen mind space with dealing with work situations. She has a volatile work situation. So this one is all you, sister.
Well, again, I can only stress, and that's just an expression of word there, is to align yourself the night before you go to bed and ask for messages and rejuvenation to happen to every cell within your body so that you're a forward thinker the next day before you get caught in the muck or in what you want to call a landslide of chaos. Get yourself under control before you start your day. When you wake up, start your day assuming that you've got this, but still have some self-talks in the mirror. Get yourself going with some nutritional, whatever it is that you intake, but get your thought in process. Let go of these cages here. Put your boundaries up for self-respect. Work with the heart center and try to make attempts during the day where you might have to go to the bathroom a little bit more. align in there, take a little longer lunch break by getting out of the lunchroom and going outside. And just maybe stepping back and just observing the chaos that's surrounding you as if you are just the observer. You don't have to be in the cyclone because you're not there to fix anything. You're there to work on yourself and align yourself and just observe what's going on in your surrounding demographics. And I hope that helps you.
That's a beautiful answer. And I will add, do all of that carbon copy on over to the people who are giving you grief. You know, any of the people that you know at work that is making your life a little bit of hell, carbon copy that. Send the light to them. Send the love to them every night and in the morning. Because you know what? Watch them shift before you, because this is the real thing here. Is this is your perception, your reality. No one else truly here on a higher consciousness level is here besides you. So how about you try to shift who they are while you're shifting how you're responding? That's kind of like what I wanted to say. And and also recognizing that all chaos is also love in creation.
Yeah, right. And just be a love skunk. Just douse everyone. Just be a love skunk.
Yeah. Love skunk. I love it. I always say love is a battlefield. You know, Pat Benatar, love is a battlefield.
Yes.
I'm going to use my heart chakra.
Yeah.
Don't make me pull out my stinging heart chakra.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have another question. She says, this is Julie Frost on Facebook. Thanks for being here. I have been putting off having my home foundation inspected because, to be honest, I'm afraid of what they're going to tell me. Any suggestions? If you put it off, what is it? What is it, Sandra? You're the wordsmith. What we resist persists.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't put off tomorrow what you can do today, because today is all you have.
Right, this moment is all you have. Right now, time is all now. So why not? You know, don't be afraid. And that's the other thing. Literally, we're all in this bubble of be fearful of this, be fearful of that. Are you scared yet? Are you scared yet? That shit's coming at you all the time with multiple things, like really. And quite honestly, you got to just look at it and go, well, isn't this interesting? You know, when stuff comes up like that, I'm like, if I'm fearful of it, I'm like, well, isn't this interesting? Let me observe.
If you're aware that there's a mind game going on, that's an opening for you to understand, I don't want to be a part of that mind game, or have a choice if you do, and how much of it you want to be involved with. And then realign yourself completely different and be teachable. Be teachable by all the things that you're learning. Let it teach you.
Okay, well, I don't see any more. I'm in loving awareness, as Ram Dass. There, Renee has a good one. He says, I'm being an observer. I am in loving awareness, as Ram Dass says. That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Be the love skunk. Sandy put it up there. Sandy sung Joy. She says, be the love skunk. I like it. I like it a lot.
Love you, Sandy.
Oh, that's so cool. All right. So, I do appreciate you being here, as I always. Will you hang out backstage? Because I want to talk to you afterwards while I close this out.
I will.
All right. Say thanks to everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. So that's it, guys. Don't forget to do all of the fun things like share, subscribe, comment, come back on the replay. It really does help the algorithm, support the channel. And before you leave, I have a surprise. I put a tornado light. I just wanted to show you guys. Look at this light. Oh, wait, here it is, right here. Look at that. It's a tornado light that changes to all of the colors of the rainbow. Speaking of colors of the rainbow, happy June Pride Month. That's right. I hadn't got to say it yet. Happy Get Juiced June to everybody. Remember, you could get juiced in a loving way, or you could get shocked, but it's all love and creation. So embody everything with love. Remember, and get with Sandra McEllis. All her information is down below. Get a session from this woman. I've had one from her, and it really did help me a lot when I was going through stuff. She's a wizard. She really is. So come on over to it's embodimentofthesoul.com. Okay. I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. Walk in the light and spread the star. Oh, I'll be back next Tuesday. I will be on time. I was early today. I think that was a first in almost 4 years. Wow. You are the God Spark. I love you guys.